Hello, so my name is Corinne, and for those of you who don't know me, I am a self-portrait artist. So thank you so much for joining me and welcome to my workshop. Please excuse me if I'm a little bit nervous today while speaking. I'm struggling with my anxiety a little bit at the moment, so please bear with me. Today I'll be first of all showing you some examples of my own work and talking to you a little bit about that. Then I'm really excited to be talking about one of my biggest influences, who is a Mexican painter, Frida. And lastly, I'll be showing you a couple of my self-portraits and the direct influence that Frida has had upon them. So after this workshop, I really hope that you might feel inspired to create your own self-portraits, but there's absolutely not any pressure at all to do so. And my main aim is that you enjoy this workshop, feel inspired, and hopefully take something really positive from it. So I'm a self-portrait artist and I use photography really as this form of therapy. My self-depictions, they intimately reflect my ongoing struggles of mental illness. In particular, I struggle with anxiety and depression. So I am deeply afraid of leaving home, and I'm not able to currently do that without the support of my partner. So this often leaves me feeling increasingly isolated and very much alone. I believe my bedroom to be the keeper of my trapped and often repressed emotions. My self-portraits, they are all created within the same 2 by 1.5 meter space, my bed. I once had what felt like the luxury of creating work within the whole of this bedroom, but after my health worsened, bed is now the only place in which I feel both well and safe enough to create. I find this often really restrictive and at times it can be frustrating, though I am so glad to have this small but safe space in which I am able to express my emotions in front of my camera's gaze. I first started experimenting with this idea of creating self-portraits from bed last year, but because my mental health was quite severe at the time, I found this really difficult, and I really thought of this idea of creating from bed because bed was a place that I found myself most often. So to me, it felt both very natural and instinctive to create from this safe space. I really love daisies so much, but often I feel afraid and unable to visit them. So within my self-portraits, when I'm not well enough to have them physically within my work, I really like to paint the nature that I long to be within upon my skin. Whilst doing this one day, I thought to myself how lovely it would be to live in a new land, a land filled with daisies. So from the safety of this bed, I created Daisyland, my safe space. So I have a really negative perception of self, and at times I can really struggle so much to accept my physical appearance, particularly within my self-portraits. And I really aim through creating these self-portraits to learn to like myself, even if it's just a little bit more. So within this particular photograph, I don't normally like photographing my legs because I feel a sense of unease in front of the camera when doing so. But I just decided that if I were to paint daisies upon them, the nature that I long to be within upon my legs, it it really made me feel as if I was lying within this field of daisies and made me feel I was able to take that photograph. So after some time, I built the courage to gather some sweet daisies from our front garden and included them within this self-portrait. So as you can see, I've placed a few daisies within my mouth, and there is one upon my heart with a little plaster on it. And it was the first time that I'd been alone and felt confident within our front garden without support for a little while. The experience, even though I was so proud of myself, I felt a little bit fragile. So I decided to include the fragile tape just to really portray this. The day before creating this self-portrait, I was feeling a little bit depressed, and I was in bed and I just didn't feel strong enough to go into nature with my partner. And this is something that I really love to do so much. I could see the clouds outside whilst laying in bed, and I was just really missing nature, daisies, and seeing the clouds. So the next day, when feeling a bit better, from bed, I decided to paint my body and my bed sheets with clouds, enabling me to wrap myself within nature, to wear the sky and feel like I had become part of it. I do not feel strong enough to show my real hair within my work, and often use elements of masquerade as to disguise it, such as wearing a wig. I developed an intense dislike of my hair, and last year, when my health was bad, I lost a little of it through illness. So I've never really liked my hair and decided I'd feel more confidence to wear wigs both within my self-portraits, and more recently, when I do leave home, I will always wear a wig. So my life and art, they have become inextricably entwined. And if I were to bury this mental state deep within, it would really just allow it to thrive. But through the creation of my self-portraits, I'm offered a cathartic release, a sense of self-purpose, and it just gives me something to aim towards. So apart from my health, the biggest influence upon my art is the Mexican artist Frida. She is mainly known for her deeply emotive and autobiographical self-portrait paintings that intimately narrate her life story, including her personal life, and her often turbulent marriage to the artist Diego Rivera, and her lifelong battle with disability and mental illness, which is one of the reasons I admire her so much. Frida was disabled by polio as a child and had hoped to become a doctor, though at age 18 a tragedy happened. Frida was involved in a near-fatal bus accident, leaving her unable to walk for 3 months. Confined to bed, she began to paint herself using a specially made easel with a mirror attached, which enabled her to see herself. Frida, because of her ill health, was often confined to bed. Seeing photographs of her painting using her specially created easel with its mirror and painting upon her body cast, which she wore because her spine was too fragile and unable to support itself, deeply inspired me to create from bed, the place I felt safest, and to use body paints as to paint the nature I long to be within upon my skin, in a similar way in which Frida painted upon her body cast. I often use hair within my self-portraits. This is influenced by my intense dislike of my own hair, after losing a little of it through illness last year. I love Frida's painting, Self-Portrait with Cropped Hair, and believe it had some influence upon my love for including scissors alongside hair within my self-portraits. For me, this is a deeply emotive and moving piece. We see Frida looking so different, having, apart from her earring, stripped herself of all traits traditionally associated with femininity. Wearing Diego's suit, it's like she's telling him, I don't need a man. I can take care of myself. You loved my hair, now it's gone. Love me no more. As you can see, I've included hair. This is synthetic hair from a wig within this self-portrait from my A Bedtime Story series. I had Frida very much in mind when creating it, using my body as a canvas to paint this casket-like shape upon myself. Reminded me of Frida's cast paintings. The flat place within this, to me, is a depiction of how I mourned for the loss of my hair. If you look closely, you can see I've placed a nail at the top of the plait, which I filed down as not to harm my skin, or my canvas as I like to call it. This was deeply influenced by Frida's self-portrait, The Broken Column, produced after her back operation in which countless nails pierced her body. We see a broken column in place of her spine. To me, the nails are depictions of her never-ending suffering. I've included a couple more of my self-portraits here in which you can see Frida's influence in relation to expressing my anguish and negative feelings towards my hair. Some of the hair is my own and some is from wigs I wear. To conclude, I once had what felt like the luxury of creating self-portraits within the whole of my bedroom. But after my health deteriorated, I felt unable to photograph myself and would often cry whenever I attempted to do so. Whilst laying in bed, the place I found myself most often, I was looking for a book and saw photographs of Frida painting upon her cast from her bed. I then remembered how her doctor had told her she was not well enough to attend her solo exhibition, her last show before her untimely death. But Frida, she did not let this stop her. She attended the exhibition from the safety of bed, having been transported and then carried into the exhibition. To me, Frida is an example, an extraordinary example of a powerful, beautiful, and a truly unique artist who showed us what is possible, even from bed. So thank you so much for joining me on this workshop. Thank you for listening to me. And I really hope that you're feeling inspired and motivated and might like to create something. And I really hope this was useful and positive to you in some way. Just a quick note before I end, I have touched upon the subject of mental health quite a lot within this. And I would just like to tell you that if you are struggling with your mental health, that you're not alone and there is plenty of support out there, and I really do hope that you'll seek it if you need it. So I hope that you are all safe and well during these difficult times. Lots of love and best wishes to you.